Hi, my name is Sadie and I'm going to be presenting a short session for you today entitled Wellbeing and Exercise. Before I get started on the presentation, I'll take a really brief moment to introduce myself. I am the COO of Wellbeing Limited, a wellbeing specialist company working with organisations across the world to help really build healthier workplaces. So we look at both mental and physical wellbeing to really create working environments where people can thrive. I have a broad range of different qualifications in the field, including a master's degree in workplace health and wellbeing, during which course I extensively studied our behaviours in the modern day and how much time we spend sat down and how this impacts upon our well-being and the things that we all need to do to help us get up and move more. Really delighted to be here today as part of the festival for International Women's Day and This Girl Can and Active Essex to help really start to consider the benefits of moving more and help you start to think about the ways that you can overcome some of the barriers that perhaps stop us from exercising or perhaps present themselves, particularly at the moment with the challenging times that we're facing. So really excited to be here today and to cover some top tips to help you all think about how you can start to move more. So let's firstly think about the benefits of moving more, of exercising more. So to start off with, I'd like you to start thinking about essentially when we move, when we exercise each and every day, we're fundamentally getting our daily dose of happy hormones. So dose essentially stands for the main happy hormones that are released within the body when we move and when we exercise. So this stands for dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins. So firstly, the dopamine, this is often known as the reward chemical. So this really is released when we get that sense of pleasure, of satisfaction, for fulfillment. We just feel really good. We feel that we've achieved something. So that in itself helps to contribute towards our self-esteem and our motivation as well. Next, we have oxytocin, which is typically more associated with being called the love hormone. So yes, this is released in certain forms of exercise, but it's particularly powerful if we choose to exercise with other people. So this is where we start thinking about our sense of social well-being when we exercise with others, perhaps friends, perhaps in group environments, even if they are virtually at the moment, and we have that sense of connection with others. So this is why things like running clubs or even Facebook communities and groups where we feel part of something and part of a community and having that sense of belonging and therefore can share our achievements and our wins, it helps actually release that level of oxytocin in the body, which again contributes to us generally feeling happier in life. Next, the S stands for serotonin. So serotonin is more known as the mood stabilizer. So this helps contribute to our sleep cycles, to pain reduction and improving our overall sense of well-being. And then lastly, the endorphins. So this boosts our immune system. It causes a reduction in any sense of getting certain ailments or sickness bugs, and actually postpones aging as well. So it's all about starting to think about every time that we exercise and we start to move more, we're getting that daily dose within our bodies, which is really, really, really powerful. So you can see on the slide in front of you that there's certain specific benefits that we can walk through and start to understand and emphasize that when we do move more. So the first one is this emphasis on our mood enhancement. So this contributes towards decreased anxiety, decreased worries, increased sleep quality, and this starts in the very first time we start to exercise because it starts to lower our blood pressure and our cardiovascular responses to stressful situations. So this essentially means that we're improving our coping mechanisms, particularly in the face of stress. And even just 10 minutes of exercise a day can improve our sense of composure, our calm energy. So it just goes to show that even just 10 minutes of moving every day can make a difference. And this is essentially because what happens is when we undertake regular aerobic exercise, it serves to reduce the anxiety and stress in our bodies because it makes the fight or flight response, that stress response, less reactive. So when we're regularly exposing ourselves to the physiological changes that are associated with that stress response, such as that rapid heartbeat, through that regular exercise, we start to actually develop more of a tolerance for those symptoms, for that manifestation of those reactions. So when we do regular exercises like cycling, running, resistance exercises, things like this, we can actually start to see an increase in our tolerance to stress. but we can also see a reduction in depressive symptoms as well. And there's a huge amount of growing research to actually demonstrate that exercise is actually as effective as medication and certain types of psychotherapy in dealing with depression. And regular exercise really does boost our mood and also increases a brain protein called BDNF that helps nerve fibers grow. So this is actually having a profound impact on our brain structure. Also, for people with attention deficit disorder, ADHD, there's actually several studies that demonstrate that either moderate to intensive exercise can actually improve symptoms, can enhance participants' motivation for certain tasks that require focused thought, increased energy, and reduce feelings of things like confusion, fatigue, and depression as well. Also, in relation to alleviating depressive symptoms is the contemplation of more meditative movement. So this is essentially the movement in which we pay really close attention to our bodily sensations, our presence in the moment, what we're feeling, what we're thinking, how our body's reacting to situations as well. So this could be things like Tai Chi, certain types of yoga are really useful for this as well. And this particularly can be quite impactful when we're looking at the symptoms of something like post-traumatic stress disorder, to the point that people can actually start to manage the symptoms that they're experiencing through going through this regular process of being more present and being in the moment as well, paying attention to things like posture, to our breathing. All of these things can actually cause a shift in our brain structure, reducing stress, reducing depression, reducing anxiety, and just contributing to this higher self and heightened sense of well-being. So it really goes to show that in this world that we live in, where there's a lot of things that we can't change right now, that we can't influence, these are things that we can tangibly do when we start to move more, that contributes directly to our sense of well-being, our sense of self-esteem, our sense of motivation, a sense of purpose. Our energy levels is really, really critical as well. The events of the last year have essentially really caused heightened levels of fatigue for a lot of people. We're quite tired, our coping mechanisms are starting to wane, our levels of resilience are starting to wane. So a lot of people are feeling that level of fatigue starting to kick in right now. You know, we're juggling work demands, we're juggling responsibilities at home, like homeschooling and childcare, and this can take its toll on our bodies. So the more that we start to think how we can replenish our energy reserves by moving more, the more of an impact we're going to have on our overall well-being. So just 150 minutes per week, every week, can achieve improved blood sugar levels. So we actually have energy levels that are stable throughout the day. So this leads to greater productivity and not having those slumps that sometimes many of us have. Insulin sensitivity, things like managing, reducing the risk of diabetes as well through blood sugar control, really, really important. Increased oxygen delivery to the brain. So this is going to improve our cognitive function, improves our memory. Really, really important there that we can be more focused on the task at hand as well. So essentially here we can start to build a really strong case for why it's so important that we're all moving more every single day and starting to think about the potential barriers that might prevent us from doing that. So I invite you to think about that now and think about the obstacles that you sometimes face, the challenges that you sometimes face in relation to perhaps you want to move more, you want to exercise more, but there's things that get in the way. So if we're going to start thinking about a tangible plan for encouraging ourselves to move more and to get active, it's about firstly starting to think about what might prevent us from doing that. So really, really critical is to think that process through of, okay, I would love to move more, I'd love to exercise more, I'd love to do more of X, Y, Z. Why can't I? What stops me? So that we can start to overcome those psychological barriers, those practical barriers, so that we can start to put a plan in place to encourage us to get moving more. So essentially this is about planning and preparation, so we can think ahead of the situations that may arise, that may get in the way, and how we can overcome them when they do. So going to walk through some quite common examples that we hear in relation to why people don't necessarily exercise as much as they'd like to. So firstly, probably no surprise, is time, is how much time we actually have available to do these things. So if you do feel that you have a lack of time, really it's about identifying those time slots that you have available and being very conscious of thinking, how can I make that time? This isn't a question of finding more time. We haven't got some extra time that's hidden somewhere that we need to try and locate. We have to make that time. So identifying, when we look at our week ahead, thinking about what time slots that we could potentially make available to ourselves to accommodate those daily activities. Ideally identifying at least 5 30-minute time slots that you could use for a physical activity. It could be the case that you could start to think about how to add more physical activity to your day-to-day routine. So this could be, instead of driving a car, that you walk or ride a bike. If we go to the shops, it could be organising certain activities around physical activity. It could be as simple as parking further away from a destination, so you have to walk there. So just starting to be a bit smarter with how you can use your time more effectively. Starting to think of the activities that are suitable for the time slots that you do have available to you. So being, again, realistic with the expectations that you put on yourself, and even thinking ahead about the practicalities associated with getting to a certain location to exercise. Could it be easy to do something at home? So just really making the most of the time that you do have available to you. And starting to think about ways that you can take advantage of certain situations and get more active in those situations. So, for example, something that we really strongly work with our clients in doing is walk and talk meetings. We don't always have to be communicating via things like Zoom or Teams. So perhaps there's occasions where you can agree with a colleague or a manager that perhaps you'll have a phone conversation, and during that conversation you can go for a walk at the same time, particularly if it means that you can actually get out in the daylight and get some fresh air as well. So we're actually combining lots of different benefits there. So just starting to think about how you can be more creative with how you're currently using your time, and thinking perhaps in a more open-minded way about the potential options that you have available to you. Another element is really important is a level of accountability and social support. Starting to think that who else you could engage with and get involved in relation to really starting to feel more motivated to exercise, and who may want to do that with you. So this could be friends, it could be family members, it could be a question of joining a group, it could be a Facebook community aimed at the same purpose of moving more. So I'm involved in lots of different Facebook groups with lots of different challenges that are set. Some may be a plank challenge, that we increase our plank time by 10 seconds every day. Some are merely a step challenge to see how many steps that we can cover over the month. But it really helps because this not only contributes to physical well-being, but also that social well-being of being part of something. And by complimenting other people and their achievements, as well as sharing our own, again, it releases that love hormone, that oxytocin that I talked about. And it means when we set these goals, it can help us stay accountable to them. So when we put these things in writing, or we post that we're going to achieve something and we're really determined and motivated to reach this goal, providing it's something that we've planned and prepared and realistic, having people around us to actually champion us and cheer us on can really make a big difference. So inviting other people to get involved with you. It could be just as simple as speaking to a friend or a family member that you know also wants to get active and get moving more. Perhaps you could agree a few times a week to talk on the phone while going for a walk, or go for a virtual run together if you like at the moment. So just trying to, again, be creative with different things that you could do to help you feel more motivated to move more. It may be a lack of energy. As I've said, at the moment, a lot of people are feeling the strain and the drain of the situation that we're finding ourselves in. So starting to think about how you could schedule physical activity for certain times in the day or the week that you feel more energetic. So for me personally, I'm much more effective and much more energetic and much more likely to commit to my goals if I exercise early in the day. And that is something that works for me and my energy levels, my circadian rhythms, and it's just something that I can accommodate much more easily. So I get up much more early than I have to, so I can accommodate that exercise, and I know that I'm done for the day. It boosts my energy for the day, it helps with my nutrition, my eating, my focus. So that works for me, but it doesn't work for everyone. So it's starting to think about when you've got the best energy levels, that is a realistic time, again, that you're going to stick to, and you're going to really commit to that movement more in your plan. Perhaps it's motivation, perhaps it's the fact that you struggle to stay motivated with your goals. So here, planning ahead is really powerful, making it a part of your schedule and writing these down, articulating and expressing those commitments and remaining accountable to yourself, as well as having accountability for others. This is again where joint activities can really help. It could be that if you join a virtual class, it could be the fact that you engage with the virtual PT at the moment, but getting other people to help you stay on track can really make a difference. Also visualizing your goals, why you want to move more, and starting to think about what you want to achieve can really make a difference. Thinking about short-term goals, breaking things down into bite-sized chunks. Often we have this big idea about, perhaps it could be a physical goal or achievement. It could be related to how we want our clothes to fit, how we want to feel in our bodies, how we want to look. But it's really important that they're realistic and that we have small goals along the way. When we set something that's for 6 months' time, it seems very far away. So it's about sort of breaking it down to the small goals. So it could be just a matter of how many steps you want to cover a day and ticking that off, how much water you want to drink a day and ticking that off, because again, that releases that dopamine, that reward chemical, that we feel that we're making progress and that we're keeping going, and that helps us to stay motivated. It could be that we're fearful of injury. It could be that we have perhaps certain existing conditions that we don't want to worsen. It could be that we've got existing injuries. So making sure that we're getting the education from professionals about the best way to exercise and move that's suitable for those conditions, making sure that we're taking the steps to warm up, to cool down as well, and just knowing how to exercise and move appropriately for our bodies, our age, our fitness levels, our skill levels, our current health status, to again make sure it's something that's right for us. There's so much tendency, particularly with social media, to compare what we're doing with what other people are doing. And it is a very common tendency to think about, if we perhaps go for a run, that it should be at a certain pace, a certain distance. And this essentially builds up pressure, which essentially makes it become more of a chore than something that's enjoyable. So just remember, this is about you, about your achievements, about your improvements, and about gradually taking those steps one by one to progress forwards. It's not about anyone else or what anyone else is doing. So it's about just stripping all that back and just enjoying what you're doing, essentially. A lack of skill. Often people are concerned that they're not going to be good enough, that they might be judged. Again, using my example of running, a lot of people feel that they're going to get judged or mocked if they go out running, that they're too slow, how they perhaps look or appear to others. And again, it's really important just to remember about why you're doing it, and it's for you, and that sometimes we can create all these barriers to situations that we want to do based on what we feel other people might think. And it's just essential to think about this. It's just about getting out and moving and enjoying it. It's really critical. And that's again why being part of these other communities that build you up, that build your confidence, that cheer and champion you on, can really make a big difference. Cost of facilities, things like gym memberships, obviously they're closed at present, but concerns about whether we have the right equipment or right resources. Again, it's about stopping and thinking what you do have available to you, and there's some really cost effective, if not free, solutions out there available to you within the community, things like on YouTube that you can access. Walking, running, buying a skipping rope, are great forms of exercise. Using our stairs to go up and down, these don't have to cost the earth and can be really great solutions nonetheless. So it's about thinking what you have available to you within the community, what's provided to you as a free resource, what you can find online, and again, sometimes being a bit creative with how you do that. And the last one, particularly what we're hearing a lot in the winter months, is that it's cold, it's dark, it's miserable, it's raining, and we don't want to go outside. So again, it's thinking, what can we do indoors? What can we access online? What options do we have available to us? And at the very worst case, we can get prepared for the weather conditions and go out. And I really enjoy running in the rain. I really enjoy it. I find it really refreshing, and I actually prefer it more when it's sunny and hot. So just making sure that we're tackling it in the right way and not using it as an excuse is really important. So moving forwards, thinking literally about what you can do to move more, how you can overcome the barriers, really helps to make sure that it's kept fun. Movement and exercise can be something that brings us so much joy, as I said, that flood of those happy hormones, getting that daily dose. So try to shift the mindset from thinking it's a choice, something I have to do, to something I actually really enjoy doing. And start to again visualize what you want to achieve, start to think about how you can make these things more likely to happen. So I said about that I exercise in the morning. I always make sure the night before that I've got all my outfit ready to go, my trainers, the outfit I'm going to wear. So it just makes it easy for myself. And by getting up and seeing that and seeing the outfit there, again, it makes me more likely to be motivated. Just put them on and get out the door. So, small things that make a big difference. Also think about, having those little small steps in place, those small goals that you want to achieve, but perhaps thinking about a little reward when you do reach those goals as well. So it could be just treating yourself to a new top to wear when you're exercising. It could be the fact that perhaps when you reach a certain goal, you're going to treat yourself to something, but it's just about these little incentives to keep you moving forwards and to keep you on track, really on progressing, moving more, and making this a dedicated part of your everyday life. So really, really important to start thinking what you can tangibly do that's realistic, that's right for you, and that you're going to enjoy is really, really essential. So that brings me to the end of the presentation. Thank you very, very much for joining me for this session. I really, really hope it's given you something to think about in relation to how you can move more, how you can overcome any barriers to exercise, and how you can really start to enjoy that process. If you do have any questions, you can see my email address is available to you there. So please feel free to drop me a line. But I really, really hope you enjoy the rest of the festival, and thanks for watching.